Hello, hello. We are live. Amazing. I do believe. All right. So I'm going to wait a quick second so we can get this over to the group. Um, I'm blind. All right. It's the denial, the denial. All right. Today we have a fun topic, as always. I don't want to say that. This is talking about something that I think is near and dear to most people. We all have so much to do, so much going on. We know we need to be everywhere and getting the content out there that we need to get out there. And remember, it's not just posting and spraying content everywhere that really does it. It has to be the right content too. And we can get into that a little bit. I don't think we're talking too much about that today, but it needs to be the right content too. It's not just posting. So make sure that you are conscious of that. All right. So today we're talking about the system that sells while you sleep. Build your sleep selling engine. So that's the whole idea, is to get it up and going and, use batching and all sorts of stuff so that it is working whether you're there or not. It's hard, right? But you want to automate as much as humanly possible if you can. So you want a system that builds trust, it nurtures your leads and generates sales, even when you're offline. How many of you want that? Give me a me in the chat below. So the average entrepreneur spends about 80% of their time marketing and only 20% delivering, the 80-20 rule, right? So what if we flipped it, right? What if you were doing 80% of the stuff that you loved and 20% of the stuff that you don't love so much? That's kind of the goal and where we're moving to. Remember, the more you can step back out of that, number one, the more systematized your business is, the healthier it is, the more consistent your income will be, the easier it is to scale, to grow, to do whatever it is you want to do. Take that month off, whatever it is. So the more you can systematize inside your business, the just healthier and better off your whole company or business really is. So today I'm going to show you how you can build your very own sleep selling engine. It's a strategic system that sells without constant hustling, grinding, or DM chasing, which I do advocate for you to do all of those. Why? Because until you're to a point where everything is running like a well-oiled machine, I mean, unless you are like self-made millionaire, are you going to sit around waiting? No, you need to be doing stuff while you're building that other stuff, right? So make sure you stay to the end and I will give you a downloadable framework or checklist about the whole system. So if you want that, let me know. All right. What is a sleep selling machine? It's a system. I think I just said this, but it's going to build trust, deliver value, and convert leads into clients with minimal day-to-day effort. And this is, I know it sounds like the holy grail, like this is what we all really, really want. It's attraction marketing at its best, right? And this is definitely what I teach in my clients on repeat that uses the STAR method. That's definitely what I teach in there. And I mean, it's not rocket science, but you have to be doing it all while you're building this, right? So it gets a little complicated. You might need a little kick, a little move. So why does it matter? Burnout prevention. How many of you have seen very visible crash and burns? Is that how you would say it? Burnouts. How many of you have seen very visible burnouts of like people who are way up there in their game? I mean, I've seen 3 off that I can think of off the top of my head that were, very, very public, just burnouts. And I don't want that for you, even if it's not a very public one, right? Definitely if it's not a public one. I mean, definitely if it is a public one, I don't want it for you anyway. I don't want it for any of us. So we want to prevent burnout. And I know, like, I love business and marketing. So if I geek out on it a little bit more than the average person, it's because that's what I do and that's what I love. I know that that is not what you do and what you love. So I know you don't want to spend, all of your time doing that. And I totally get that. So for for me, it might not really burn me out, but for you, it definitely would. So another big reason you want to do that is business scalability. And when we talk about scalability, there are two ways to scale, right? Like, it just depends on how you're going. And I always advise, go deep into one area until you've got that well-oiled machine. Go, 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 go. And then can you add anything to that well-oiled machine before you start adding other things? Because that's when you've got team. That's when all of this is running well. Now you can add this. Now you can add this. And now we're growing like this, right? But until then, you're just going, and that is scaling. So scaling doesn't have to be adding another product or another target market or any of that, right? You've heard it, I'm sure, a million times. So, the 1, 1, 1, 1, whatever, right? One audience, one product, one platform. Take that one with a grain of salt, but you've heard that a million times, right? All the ones. And the reason for that is the more you can iterate on that one thing, the better you're going to get at it. The better you're going to get at it, right? So it's about focus and it's about dialing it in. And I know you hear like niche down. It's not necessarily about that. What it's about is you can't speak to everybody because you don't have 100 people working for you or 400 or 700 or whatever it is that, a Gary Vee has or a corporation has, right? It's you and maybe a VA or maybe 5, extra people. Still not big enough for doing it all. So you still want to keep it very dialed in. And that's the way you're going to build that scalability within your own business. And I promise you, you can build to 7 or 8 figures staying like that. All right, so focus on client delivery, not constant content creation. How many of you guys would love that, right? So here is the quick 4-part framework that we use, right? And of course, it's an acronym. It's quick, easy, fast. First one is S, spark interest. You have to attract them, right? You want to get their attention, stop the scroll, whatever you're talking about, right? And where are you going to do this? In your regular content, your evergreen visibility content. And that is YouTube, if that's the one you're using. That's your blog, if you're using a blog. Podcast. Reels can work over time, right? But you have to do a lot of reels. It's the, amount of time or whatever, right? So you want to use, so hashtags you've heard, really don't work, right? But whether you use them or not is irregardless of what I'm trying to say here. But if you can figure out what your clients are searching for, so search engine optimization, what are they searching for? What is it that they want? And how do they say it in their, or what are they looking for? And how do they say it in their words? So you want to think of like scenarios that keep them up at night, like if your target is busy moms, maybe you're like talking about quick recipes because in the morning you're running around, you've got 186 things to do. You've got to, get the kids ready for school. You've got to, get your husband out the door. You have to, you have a 14-point checklist of things you have to do to be able to get everybody out of the house and ready by 7 a.m. And with all of that, you really want your kids to eat a healthy breakfast. How do you get it ready in time? Bing, bang, boom, right? A mom who's running around like a chicken with her head cut off in the morning is going to totally relate to that because you're using a scenario that she lives. And that's the type of thing that you want to do. And you want to use their verbiage and everything else. So like think real life scenarios and if you said that scenario, it's not going to appeal to me because that's not my life. That's not how my morning goes, right? So if you're talking to, maybe if I'm talking to other entrepreneurs and I want to do like a morning scenario, maybe I say something about, you're trying to do your morning routine with your, breathing and your affirmations and your journaling, and you can only get to, 3 parts of it because blah, 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 right? Or you skip it every day because you need to start creating that content. So you jump on the content right away, but it's messing up your whole day because you're not getting your morning routine in. How many of you felt that, right? That's the hamster wheel that we all feel. So you want to use those scenarios, you want to use words and things that are in their head. If I'm talking about journaling and affirmations, that busy mom is probably like, that's the farthest thing from her mind. But if I'm talking to other entrepreneurs like me, right? Whether we're doing it or not, we're thinking about, we know we should be doing the journaling and the affirmations and the breathing techniques and the yoga, whatever, we know we should be, even if we're not doing it. So these are the types of things that we might be searching for. We might be talking about or thinking about in our head. So the more keywords, which is words that they might search that you can use within your content, and that is you're verbally saying it, that's your captions, your descriptions, whatever. The more keywords you can get in there in whichever one of those pieces of content you're doing, the more you're going to attract your right fit clients. And you need to attract them, which means make it exciting for them. Think about a newspaper. They write those, to the point headlines that really grab your attention. Look at a BuzzFeed type thing. So here's an example. 3 signs you're ready for a business coach, right? If anybody's looking for a business coach, or if anybody owns a business and they're like, what is a business coach? They might look that up. Now, you have to think about where in their journey are they? 3 signs you're ready for a business coach. Most people that I work with have had plenty of business coaches before, even though I'm a business coach, right? So maybe that one wouldn't necessarily work for the people who I work with. Maybe it would, because I do work with some brick and mortar type companies, and they don't think like entrepreneurs, right? They haven't tried all of the other business coaches and that type of thing. So for them, that would attract their attention. See how that's different? All right. So that was F, right? Spark interest, attract their attention. The next one is E, engage and capture. Now that we've gotten their attention, we need to bring them in, right? We need to capture, engage and capture them. So what are we going to do that with? You may have heard the term lead magnet or freebie, one of those. When you're on the computer and somebody asks you for your email, well, that's what I'm talking about. Typically, when somebody asks you for your email, they're giving you something that's valuable that you're like, oh, I really want that. And you like happily put in your name and email, maybe phone number, right? Each one you ask for makes it a little bit less likely that somebody will do it. So you'll get less people answering, but maybe it's worth it to you if you really want to be able to chat people also. Anyway, so a lead magnet is really good to engage and capture them, right? DM flows are amazing. People forget what is our real goal. And in my opinion, our real goal is we need to have more conversations, because the more conversations we have, the faster we're moving people into clients, the more we get to know them. There's a million and one reasons for it, but it's moving them through that journey. When we have a conversation with somebody, we can help them in some way, whether it's moving them to a call, whether it's giving them a piece of content that we've done in the past that's going to help them move a step forward, whatever it is. So a value-based DM flow is really helpful in engaging and capturing their attention, because now it's that you've started the conversation, right? So you want to use bridge content to freebie. So quizzes, challenges, mini audits are amazing. Why are mini audits really amazing? Because it gives you some information about where they're at, what maybe they need or where their gaps are, and how you can help them. So now if you see the results of that mini audit, you can go back and say, hey, I see that you need help with this. here's this piece of content. Here's this freebie that would really help you a little bit more in that area than the one that you contacted me about. I'll give you that one too, but you really need this one to move forward and where you're going. See how nice that is? And it feels good, right? That's who we are as coaches. So you could use, I use like a visibility scorecard, niche audit. I have both of those. You can have an opt-in funnel, or you could just go to the DMs and send it to them in a PDF. Do not stress yourself out about the tech. If you don't have the tech set up, do it manually. Number one. Number two, sometimes it's better to do it manually. Again, if all we really want are conversations, that DM is the fastest way to do the conversations. And if they feel that you are asking them for their information, sometimes they feel like, that's more about you than about them. But if you like freely just give them stuff, they're like, wow, like she's so helping me. And you are either way, but you are getting their email. It doesn't matter. If they're in your DMs, you can still DM them again, right? So you still have captured them and engage with them. All right, so the next one is L, lead with value. This is where you want to nurture your leads, right? So you're going to grab their attention, you're going to capture them, but capture their attention, right? And then you want to keep them engaged with you. And there are a lot of different ways to do that. Retargeting, if you're doing ads, you could do it with emails. Set it and forget it emails. You don't have to wait and do them every single day, right? You can totally do them with your own personality, your positioning, your purpose, your own stories added in there. And you can bulk them. You could do them weekly or monthly or quarterly or whatever, right? So you could have set it and forget it emails. You could have some like that and some that you do daily. You could have it like that. You could do weekly value emails. And, in those weekly value emails, give them some tips. Like I could teach you how to repurpose your content, right? How to repurpose your emails, or how to repurpose the YouTube, turn it into the email, that type of thing, right? All right. So you want to nurture them. You want to pull them in. So one thing I want to point out is we get all caught up in, when we hear funnel, we think Russell Brunson, ClickFunnels. We think you have to have a landing page and an opt-in and all of that. A funnel isn't necessarily the tech part. It's the flow that you take them through. A funnel is moving them from where they're at right now to either the end of your line, which is, from moving them from where they're at right now to becoming a client, or from becoming a client to getting to where you want them to get, right? All of those are flows. So when you first meet a client, you need to have a flow, which is your funnel, that you take them through. That could be through the DMs. That could be through a combination of things. So example, the DM goes to so your post talks about a freebie. They DM you. The DM, you have a conversation with them, right? You find out a little bit more about them. You send them the freebie. Maybe you send them a different freebie. Now you follow up with them about that freebie. This is a flow, right? You follow up with them about that freebie because now you've got more information, especially if you did like an audit or something, right? But either way, you've asked them some questions. You have a little bit more information. They've done this. Maybe they have questions, right? So you're moving them through that flow and you're moving them closer to where you want them to be, whether it's that phone call or whether it's, the second phase of your business or whatever. You're moving them through that. All right. So you want to build rapport before a sales conversation ever happens. You've heard this a lot and still people do it. We've all been there, done that, and maybe jumped in a little too soon. I'm not saying that, it doesn't happen to the best of us, but our goal is to not do that. Our goal is to, and when we say get to know people and build rapport, yes, you want the small talk, which I know for those of you that are introverts, it's really, really, really hard, but it's just, it's kind of how society works. but you don't have to do small talk for the next 16 days, right? You want to find commonalities. That's what small talk is about. So you want to find some sort of commonality or something that you both can grab onto to talk about. And that can be what you do, right? That can be what they do. Let them talk about what they do. Most people love talking about themselves. So let them talk about what they do, whatever. But you want to build the conversation as much as humanly possible before moving them to that call, before moving them to a sales conversation. And I actually like to do too. Like I like to hop on a mini call first, right? Get to know them better. And then maybe if they're a right fit, move them on to a sales call. If they're not a right fit, maybe I give them some more resources, whatever. Maybe I suggest somebody else, maybe they're at a different place, whatever, a different product, whatever it is. But you want to have those conversations first. We all know how horrible it is when somebody smacks you with a, hey, do you want to buy my service? So lead with value, nurture them, nurture them, nurture them. Back in the day, you might have been able to do this a lot faster, but right now, when we talk about that sea of sameness, right? All of these coaches, wall of coaches everywhere. Or if you're a brick and mortar and you are a example in my neighborhood, if you're a salon, I've got, I don't know how many, 15, 20 salons within walking distance of my place. That's, like less than a 1 mile radius, probably. I mean, if I go out 5 miles, I can't even tell you how many. So that's a sea of sameness, right? What is making that one stand out from another? And that's where you want to do it. You have to build that rapport. You get to know the people. You can't just smack trying to sell people because it won't always work. And you need to be able to differentiate, help them. If you're a salon and somebody chats you and says, hey, I'm coming in for my hair, maybe you ask them questions, oh, do you have an event, or why are you getting your hair done? Or, what type of hair? What have you done in the past? Blah, 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 blah. You can talk to people and ask questions and get to know them a little bit before you move on to the actual sales conversation. And maybe it happens a little bit faster, a little bit slower, depending on what industry you're in and depending on, the nature of the call. But what you want to think about is this. Back in the day, there might have been 3 salons and now there are 20, right? If you're a coach, there might have been a handful of coaches and now there are bazillions. So it used to take way less time. Now, they say it takes 7 hours of binging, right? So now it takes, sometimes 60, 65 days. Oh, right? That's a lot. And you're thinking, I don't have that kind of time. Well, you do if you're doing this all of the time, because in 65 days, you've got all of these other people that are now coming up to 65 days. You've got some that are 64, some that are 63, right? So today, if you start today, it might take you, 2 months, probably not, but you see where I'm going. But if you keep nurturing all of these people as you go, one will fall here, one will fall here. And by fall, I mean, move to the next step, one will move to the next step, one will move to the next step. And then the rest of them are here. Then a lot more are going to move to the next step. And then the next month and the next month. So you're keeping them in your world, you're nurturing them. So always lead with value. Number one, it makes us feel better. It's who we are. As coaches, for sure, as business owners, you started that business to make money. Yes, but also to help people do whatever it is that you love doing, right? If you are the owner of a spa, you probably truly believe that whatever the services are that you have will improve somebody's life, maybe longevity, whatever it is. You're doing it out of you're doing it from the heart. That's what I'm trying to get at. So as long as we lead with value, it always feels good to us. And it does not feel yucky like the, used car salesman type thing. And that's not who we are. And we're not going to win trying to jump in their world. We're not. All right. So build rapport before sales. All right. And the last one, if you don't know what it is, SEL is the first one, right? So spark interest, engage and capture, lead with value. And the last one is leverage conversion events. I can't tell you how important these are. I personally believe in evergreen sales. I believe you should be selling all of the time. I do. So why do I also believe in conversion events? Because number one, you can get more people into them at a time and maybe convert more people at a time, which is always awesome, right? Number two, conversion events are ways for people to spend more time with you. So if you do a webinar, maybe you're online for an hour and then they can ask you questions live. You know, we can't fake that. There's no AI bot that's going to sit there live. There might be soon, but right now, there's no AI bot that can sit there live and answer their personal questions. You still can do that. So that's what people want to see more and more of. So conversion events lets them feel you, you know, hear you and hear your real expertise and knowledge live and in person. And that is gold. So what are we talking about? An evergreen webinar. If you are super busy already, then maybe what you do is you want to put, I want to say, obstacles almost in the way to make it harder and harder and harder for people to get to that next level because your prices are high. You don't want to talk to just anybody, whatever it is, right? So then you can do something like the video sales letter or, you know, sending them to the webinar, which is like the evergreen webinar, right? You can do an auto booking funnel. But if you do things live in your conversion events, that is like super key. So I would say all of the automated ways to do it, like the evergreen webinars that, you know, are not live, the VSL, which is the sales letter, the video on a sales page, those types of things are still working today, right? But you don't want to use those unless you're already full, because you need more. You're going to close always. You're always going to close more people and faster the more people can really know, like, and trust you in person, which, you know, on a webinar is in person as it gets. They can hear you. They can hear you mess up, laugh, move, talk, tell your stories, whatever it is, ask their questions. That is always just way more personal, way more engaging for them. They feel that bond a lot more with you, even though, you know, if they've watched a bunch of your videos, they still already feel like they know you. But this puts it that one step farther. And then one step even farther is in person, right? If you can do the in person. So you want to do things like that to get them in your world and to like step up the intimacy almost a little bit more. So leverage conversion events. And depending on where you're at in your journey, that might look differently. I would say we should all do live events no matter where we're at in our journey, but maybe you do more at the beginning and less at the end, whatever. Maybe you do paid instead of free, however you want to do it. But you could do stuff like book your free audit, right? Watch this training, DM me the word system. Those are going to be for the automated ones. The book your free audit could be with you. That's a call. Or you could do like 5-day challenges, you know, a live workshop. Those are my favorite conversion events. So if you want to talk about what that looks like for you, just let me know. I love geeking out on that type of stuff. And it's different for everybody. I mean, we all have to do it to, number one, our personality, our time, our lifestyle. You know, a 5-day challenge might be, forget it, there's no way. But maybe you could do a 4-hour workshop on a Saturday. You know, maybe that works for you. Or maybe you're like, I'm doing a 1-hour webinar or a 90-minute webinar, and that's what I'm doing. That's all fine. It just depends on who you are and what you want to do. All right. So what makes it work? So we got the sell, right? Let me go over it again. Spark interest, engage and capture, lead with nurture, and leverage conversion events, FELL. All right. So what makes all of it work? So consistency. The content doesn't disappear. It's always working, especially if you're doing it over and over and over. These Thursdays, I do them over and over and over. So whether somebody shows up or not, obviously love it when you guys show up. That is the best of the best. And, you know, that would be my preference. But if you don't, I still have these, right? So when we talk about that nurture piece, if somebody says, what gets me is that I'm so overwhelmed. I can send them this and say, hey, this is the way to do it. Which one of these steps, are you using or are you not using? Have you not even gotten there yet? Have you done are you totally capturing a lot of attention, but it's not going anywhere? Which piece of this puzzle do you need help with? And you might hear me talk about puzzles, but that's what geeks me out about what I do. That's about me. So the content doesn't disappear. If you're putting stuff on YouTube, on your blog, on a podcast, the consistency in that is the best. And you always want to have at least one of those main pieces of content that are evergreen. So that is YouTube, my favorite because it's video, podcast. It used to be Facebook lives you might have been able to do. They're disappearing now, right? So you want to put them up on your YouTube, whatever. Anyway, clarity. So one core offer, one clear message. I was talking to one of my clients the other day. She's a ladder, which I recommend, of offers, right? She has this one, and this one. People can move through that ladder. People can start here. People can start here, or people can start here, right? If they start here, they can still move up. But you want what people say is your signature offer. You want to have the one offer that you always talk about. And whether for you want that to be your high ticket offer, maybe you have a medium ticket offer that is the one that you like to sell in. I'm about to say sell in public, but you don't really want to sell it in public, but the one that you reference, the one that you talk about, right? The one that you move people to. So mine's clients on repeat. I use the STAR framework that you've heard me talk a lot about, the STAR framework, right? That program is called Clients on Repeat because I want to help you move and get those clients on repeat. Yeah, I changed the name. That's better. It makes more sense. All right, simplicity. You don't need 17 million automations, just the right pieces that connect with each other, right? So maybe some DM flows. If you have a freebie, you want some DM flows that go with that freebie. Maybe you want to know what you do with them. If they become a friend, do you invite them to your Facebook group? Do you invite them to a conversion event? Do you invite them to your Facebook group and then a conversion event, right? How do you move them through your funnel? That's what you really want to know. All right. Sleep selling engine. It's your pathway to more peace, more zen in your life, and way more profit, and a business that finally feels sustainable. And that's what I think is really important. And most people, even the ones that have been in business 10 years that come to me, are like, I just want, to know that I don't have to close my doors next week. So that's what we want to do, is build it so that it's stable and maybe growing depending on who you are and where you're at. All right, so if you want the sleep selling setup guide, just drop sleep below and I will send it right over to you. All right. Remember, it takes strategy first. You need to sit down, you need to map it out, you need to think about it, and then automate it. If you start trying to automate stuff, it gets really confusing. All right, have an amazing rest of your day. I will see you.